Hey, blessings everyone. I am coming to you to tell you that I am officially in Rwanda, Kigali. I am so excited to be here. So I wanted to just take a moment in this video to let you know some of the steps that I took to get here and some suggestions that you may find helpful if you're thinking about coming to Rwanda. So let's start with the visa application. So I applied for my visa when I was in the US at my US embassy, and most embassies in the US are issuing 10-year visas, which is fantastic for Rwanda. So the 10-year visa, you're allowed to stay in the country for a duration up to 6 months at a time. And then every 6 months you have to take a trip and then come back. But the full duration is for 10 years, which I think is excellent. So for the visa application, there are some things that you should keep in mind if you want to apply for that. So first of all, I have to say I was a little, indecisive about whether I should apply for a visa while I was in the US or if I should just get a visa on arrival, because you can get a visa on arrival here in Kigali. Now, if you get a visa on arrival, it would not be the 10-year one. You can get a single entry visa, you can get a multiple entry visa. So they have a couple of options, but the 10-year visa is only available at the embassies in the US. So that went into my decision in terms of applying in the US. I was nervous also because we're in a pandemic, and they were saying that they were not taking any in-person appointments. Usually when you're applying for a visa at the embassy, you have to go in person, but they said specifically they were not taking any in-person appointments. You have to mail in your passport. And I was like, oh, mailing in the passport. First of all, they said the turnaround time was on average 4 to 6 weeks to get your visa. So I was like, wow, if I mail in the passport, I don't know, when it will get back to me. It could take 3 months. The time frame is very subjective to the conditions that we're living in. So I took the risk only because of that length of time that I could get with the embassy. The 10 years was very attractive to me. So I mailed in my application, and true to what they said, it took about 7 to 8 weeks, so a little bit longer than their time frame, but it still came back. Everything was clear. So let me tell you what I had to submit with the visa. So you would go to your embassy. I think each embassy would be different, so you have to check to see what their requirements are. But I had to fill out their full application. You would check that you are planning on staying and coming, and either coming and going multiple times, which is why you would need the 10-year visa. You have to submit a passport photo. You have to submit all of your flight information. So you do have to book your flight in advance before you apply for your visa, okay? So I had to book my flight in advance. For me, I really wanted to avoid the UK. There's a lot of flights that go through Brussels, and because of the COVID variant that was happening in the UK. So I chose to go through Qatar, Doha, and I booked my ticket that way. So there are a few options that you can look at. They have Qatar Airways, they have Emirates, they have Ethiopian Airlines. They have a whole bunch of airlines that you can research to see which route you would like to go and which one is most affordable for you. So I chose that one. You also have to submit all of your hotel information. So not only do you have to book your flight, you have to book all of your hotel and submit all of that with your application. Now, I forgot to mention, I was noticing when I was watching other people's videos that they recommended that you book a round trip ticket in order to avoid any issues in terms of when you get to immigration. Because they will say, well, if you have a one-way ticket, how long are you staying here, all of that. So I also took that advice. I booked a round-trip ticket, and I made sure that my hotel stay was for the duration of time for when I the ticket showed that I would be in Kigali. So what people recommend is that you book the round trip, and then once you get here, make sure that you are booking a flight that you can cancel with no fees or penalties, and I will just cancel my return flight back to the US, so I don't have to worry about that. So that's what I plan on doing. But for the hotel information, for Rwanda, you have to book a 24-hour designated hotel that they have on their website at the embassy. So you have to look at all the pricing. They have a full list of hotels. There's a lot to choose from. Each one has its own pricing for the mandatory COVID quarantine for the 24 hours. You get a special rate, so it's very important that you book only through them. They have emails that you can email the hotel directly. Just let them know I'm arriving at this time, and you give them all of your flight information. They will then confirm your reservation, make sure they send you back an email confirming that yes, you can stay here for the 24 hours. They also need to confirm that they will pick you up at the airport, okay? So make sure you get that document from that hotel. So I am currently at my 24-hour quarantine hotel. This is the Park Inn at Radisson in Kigali. They met me at the airport. It was very smooth, so I was very happy with that. Now, after the 24 hours, as of today, there's an additional requirement that you have to self-quarantine for an additional 7 days wherever you're staying, okay? So after you leave the transit 24-hour quarantine hotel, you can either stay at the same hotel for an additional 7 days for your self-quarantine, or you can go to wherever else you're going, but you have to self-quarantine for an additional 7 days, which means you should not be out and about roaming around, anything like that, because at the end of this additional 7 days, you have to get another COVID test. So you get tested at the airport as soon as you arrive, and then you also get tested after the 7-day self-quarantine. So there are a lot of new measures. Now, this is as of today. Today is March the 2nd, 2021. So these things are changing daily. So it's very important that you check to see what the travel requirements are before you book any tickets, because this information could change at any point in time. All right, so I submitted my application. It did take a little bit longer, but I was very pleased. I would recommend when you're submitting, you have to submit a self-addressed return envelope for the embassy to return your passport back to you, okay? They're not going to be paying anything in terms of shipping, mailing, so you have to prepay the envelope that will be shipped back to you with your passport, okay? Now, what I really, I was very fortunate that I thought about, I was gonna just go to the postal office and get a prepaid envelope, but the problem with that is that the postal office in the US currently is on a major backlog, okay? And again, these things change all the time. So had I prepaid with the USPS, I may still be in the US at this point, because my passport would have been delayed probably one to 2 months or even longer. I have family members that they sent me something for Christmas. It didn't get here until February, or get to the US until February. So I would definitely not recommend using the USPS for your self-addressed return envelope with your visa application, okay? You can use any other courier service. You can use UPS, FedEx, any of these other courier services where you are able to use them to ship the application to the embassy, which is what I did, and then also include the self-addressed return envelope where they ship it back to you. So you avoid any delays that are currently happening with the USPS, okay? So that's the visa application. So I got it back, everything was clear. Now, the next step was to get to the packing. Now, I'm going to recommend, for me personally, most flights will allow you 2 suitcases, 2 big ones. I paid for a 3rd suitcase, which was also You can get, with Qatar Airways, you can get a third suitcase that was a certain amount of weight, like 50 pounds, 70 pounds for an additional weight. So I got just the third one for the standard weight, and I just had one carry-on and my computer bag, and that's it. So I do not recommend that you ship anything from the US, because wherever you're going, you can buy local goods. I think it's very important that you support the local economies wherever you plan on moving to. So that's what I plan on doing. I want to get the locally made goods. Also, things like clothes and those type of things. You could also get whatever you need wherever you're going. Okay, so I'm gonna make another video pretty soon just telling you what I packed in my suitcase, what I would recommend bringing, so that will be a whole separate video on that. All right, so the next thing is the departure and arrival. Okay, so I would recommend getting to the airport when you're leaving the US, I would say 4 to 5 hours in advance, okay? And here's why. Although the lines are not as long right now because of COVID, not as many people are flying, there are a lot of extra protocol measures that are required, okay? So first, let's start. Before you get to the airport, of course, you have to get your COVID test. Currently, right now for Rwanda, they're requiring 72 hours in advance, okay? This just changed recently because it used to be 120 hours in advance. And I think about 2 weeks ago, they changed it to 72 hours. So I went to get tested 72 hours in advance. Print out every document with you, okay? I would recommend, I took my folder over there to my suitcase, but I have like an actual folder where I printed out not only my COVID results, I would print 3 copies of those. You print all of your flight information, print all of your hotel information. I would also have a copy of your passport in there. You want to have all of the information that is required, that you need, okay? Now also, before you get to the airport, you must register with the Rwanda biomedical, I forgot what they call it, the biomedical page, okay? If you go to the embassy, you have to fill out what they call a passenger locator form. So you provide all your details. You then would upload your COVID results within the portal, okay? And then you also can prepay for your COVID test that you will be taking. This is the second COVID test upon arrival in Rwanda. So I did all of that. You fill out your passenger locator form, you upload your COVID results. I also prepaid. You can pay in cash also upon arrival, but I wanted to just avoid any additional lines. So I prepaid, it's $60, and I printed out the receipt that I paid that, okay? Now, after you complete your passenger locator form, they will issue a specific number for you, okay? This is very important that you have this number because this is what they will use when they're doing their COVID testing that is associated with all of your identity information, okay? So you want to make sure that you printed out also 2 to 3 copies of that number, because as soon as you arrive, they're going to ask you, what is your number? And you have to give them that information, and they will ask you that a couple of times, all right? So I completed all that. I arrived at the airport, I would say 5 hours in advance. And what I found interesting is one of the first things that they asked, I was just standing in line to check in my bags, and before you even get to the counter, they come up to you and they say, okay, let's see your passport. They want to see your COVID results, which is why you need to print a couple of copies. And they also, I found it surprising, the lady asked me, so do you have a visa for Rwanda? And I kind of looked at her like, well, I mean, I don't know why that's relevant because you can get a visa on arrival. But I said, yes, I do. I showed her. She was like, I need to see it. So she opened my passport to look at the visa. And I don't know, to be honest with you, it seems like if you don't have this visa beforehand, it could present some issues with boarding in terms of getting on the flight. So this is another reason why I would highly recommend to take care of your visa before you leave and not rely on getting the visa on arrival. Even though it is available on arrival, I would just get it before to avoid any issues with your flight itself, okay? So she checked it while I was in the line, and then once you get to the counter to check in your bags, they check all that information again. So they want to see your COVID results, they want to see your passport, of course, and they look at the visa, all that information. So it's very important that you stay organized. I highly recommend I have just a little paper folder where I have all of those documents in there. So every time someone asks for something, you're just pulling it out of the folder and you're showing it to them, right? So that was the first part. So you can get flights that have multiple layovers. I chose one that only had one layover. So it depends on the price point and what you're looking for. But mine only had one, so I was very happy with that. So arriving here in Kigali, you will get off of the plane. They will direct you into the immigration area first, okay? So as soon as you get there, the first thing they ask you is, what is that number that was issued to you from the biomedical Rwanda website? So you want to have that printed out, ready to show them. They ask you for your COVID test results, the one that you took before you left. They want to look at that. And then you can either get into the line that says visa and also immigration if you did not get your visa beforehand. But for me, because I had my visa, I just went straight to passport control and I showed them everything there. Now, I will say it seems like the immigration officers, at least the one that was looking at my information, was not so aware of the 10-year visa. He asked me a couple questions like, well, I see that you received a 10-year visa. What is the purpose of your visit? I explained I'm here for investment purposes to see if there's any business opportunities here. They want to know, what is your profession? So you have to give all that information. They may ask you a couple questions just to, get any questions answered that they may have. But it took a little bit longer than expected because he was asking a lot of questions, I think mainly because he was not familiar that I could get a 10-year visa, because he was like, wow, 10 years, it seems like a very long time. But that's one of the reasons why I got it, because it is a long time and I want to be here for a long time. So you will get a few questions there. Then after you pass through the passport control, the next station is the COVID testing, okay? You get tested at the airport upon arrival, okay? When you get there, you want to go ahead and show them that if you've prepaid for your test when you uploaded your biomedical information, you want to show them that receipt, which I did. I showed them I already prepaid, and then they take you straight back for testing. Now, I will say the test in the US for COVID, they did, first of all, you cannot do the rapid testing. So only the PCR is accepted. And they did the nose swab where they went all the way back in your nose. So I was expecting the same thing upon arrival. However, here they did a mouth, they go all the way back to your throat, a mouth swab, which for me was not as comfortable. And first of all, I wasn't expecting it, and I felt bad for the guy that was taking the sample, because I had just literally flown for I was in transit for like 30 hours, okay? And normally, in the stopover, I would take some time to sort of refresh and all that, but because of COVID, I had not refreshed in terms of like brushing my teeth or anything during the layover. So I had to apologize. I was like, listen, I haven't brushed my teeth for a while. So, and of course you're wearing your mask the whole time. And it was just, I was not expecting the mouth swab. So anyway, they swab your mouth, and then they will say, within 24 hours while you're at the transit hotel, they will text and email you your results. Now, this is, for me, I'm not sure what happened here. So currently I'm still at my transit hotel. I'm about to check out in a little bit, but I still have not received a text or an email about my results. However, I did go directly to the website to check on the results, and the results are there. So I am negative for the second test. So I just downloaded all that information, but I never received a text or email. So I wanted to just inform you that, I don't know, sometimes there may be a glitch in the technology, or I also checked my spam folder to see if it had gone there, but it also wasn't there. So if you don't receive anything, don't panic, okay? Just go to the website. You can look to see, you put in your specific biomedical research number, and then your results will come up with your name and all of your information and whether the test was negative or positive. So I'm currently negative, so I'm very happy about that. And I will be checking out very, very shortly and going to my next destination. So everything is very organized, which I really appreciate. So after the COVID testing, then you now move to get your baggage, okay? So I went to go pick up my bags. There was no issues there in terms of all of my bags arrived. There was nothing missing. I would recommend for bags, whenever you're doing international travel, to get bags that have the TSA approved locks on them, okay? This is very important because if you're just traveling, first of all, with like a lock that you're putting on your suitcase, on like the zippers or something like that, they will break that. And if they need to open up your suitcase, they will break it. And then you have wasted money because they need to inspect the suitcase for whatever reason. Okay, but if you have the TSA locks, they have a special key that they can use to open up your luggage if they want to look at anything inside, and then they will relock it back when they're done. So there's no damage or anything to your luggage or locks. So I got bags that have the TSA approved locks, so there was no issue in terms of damage or anything like that. Now, because I think I had the 4 bags, I was also pulled over as I was leaving the airport for some of the officers to go through my luggage. Now, one thing I did not know is that plastic bags are not approved in Rwanda, okay? So, for example, I have plastic bags in my suitcases for anything that may have some liquid items in it. So like facial toner, like witch hazel, any sort of liquid item, I usually wrap it in a plastic bag, but these things are not supposed to be allowed in Kigali, which I was unaware of. So when the guy asked me to open up one of my suitcases, he was like, wow, there's a lot of plastic in here, and he wanted me to remove some of the plastic. So you may run into that. Just something for your information, if you're planning on coming to this particular country, they do not want an over influx of plastics, right? Plastic bags specifically. So just sort of reduce that. I would only wrap up liquid items, and when I showed him actually that all the items were liquid items, he understood why, because if something happens, it would leak and it would just affect all the clothing and other things in the suitcase. So I think they are understanding about that. But they still may ask you to remove the bag once you get there. So after I was cleared from that checkpoint, then I was escorted outside, and the hotel cab met me outside. There's usually a number of people standing out there. They say, what hotel are you staying at? You tell them, and they take you directly to the hotel. So all in all, although there are a lot of steps involved, I think it's very important that you stay organized and you have a plan of action if you're planning on coming here. I think organization is key, okay? Again, I would recommend printing out every single document. You must have definitely more than one copy of the COVID results, the biomedical research number, all of your hotel and flight information. You want to have a few copies of those within, I would just take a folder so that there is no confusion, okay? If you have any questions, it's always good to contact the embassy. One of the things I did when I was applying for the visa, there was a stipulation on there that said you had to have an invitation letter. And I called and I was like, well, I don't know anybody in Rwanda. Where would I get this invitation letter? I didn't understand the purpose of it. And she told me, she was like, well, you know, if you don't know anyone, as long as you submit all of your flight information and all of your hotel information, it should be fine, right? So any questions that you have along the way, it's very important that you reach out to whoever can answer your questions so that you're submitting everything in not only a timely manner, but in a manner that would get approved. Because as you know, everything is subjective. So if your application comes across the wrong desk and it's missing one item, they may send everything back. And then now the whole time cycle starts over, because if the person sends it back to you at week 6, right? And now you have to then submit one extra document, the whole timeline starts over. So you could be in the US for months, right? So you want to make sure that everything is correct before you submit it. Same thing when you're filling out any of the biomedical information to get your number, make sure you're completing everything that they have requested. So I'm going to also include a short clip at the end here about just the room tour for this particular hotel. I hope you enjoy it, but I'm very excited. I hope these tips were helpful, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hey everyone, so I made it to Kigali. I just got here to the hotel. So I'm at the Park Inn by Radisson, and this is in downtown Kigali. So I want to just give you a quick room tour. So we're going to start at the door here. This is the door. So as you walk in, to the left here is the bathroom. Okay. Pretty nice size shower there, very nice. Then over here we have the closet area where you can put all your belongings. We have this middle mirror here. Sorry, I'm looking crazy. I just got off the flight. Then we have a little bar area here for tea and water. And they do have a little mini refrigerator down here, which is nice. And then on this side they have the safe where you can put any valuables. So panning over on this side, we have the bed. Very nice size room, very comfortable. All right, and this is where we were with the safe. Then we have the TV, a full desk, which is a very good size. And I wanted to show you guys, this is all that I brought with me, guys. So I was able to bring 3 big suitcases. I paid for the extra one, the black extra one. I had to prepay for that. And then this one small carry-on, and then my computer bag, and that's it. So yeah, very minimal. I will not be shipping anything here. No need for that. I packed everything in the suitcase. So we have the desk here with another nice mirror. And then we have this beautiful window here. They do have the seating area that is adjacent to the bed, which is nice. Now this room is for the 24-hour quarantine. So this one does not have the balcony, but if you can see the view, oh my goodness, it is just gorgeous. The hills here are just so mesmerizing. So yeah, this is where I will be for the next 24 hours. And hopefully everything comes back negative in terms of the COVID test. And then I will move on to my next destination. All right, guys, I'll keep you posted. Bye.